I'm going to be talking about some things going on at IRB administration. I know that IRB isn't a topic we spend a lot of time on here, so this is very process and very IRB jargony. If it's not your area and you don't spend time working on human subjects research and you've been waiting for an opportunity to grab some coffee, fully understand if you want to check out for a few minutes while we go over updates going on at IRB administration. So this is going to be a high level kind of overview of things that we've got going on, what's new at the IRB. First, we have some updates to our applications. We've got some changes coming that we want to make people aware of. They're going to take effect this spring. So we're doing this as sort of a get the word out mission to let you all know and have you let your colleagues know that changes are coming and be prepared. I don't know why it says application updates twice. It should say new researcher resources. We have some new resources available for investigators that I'll be going over here shortly. Just want to make you all aware that they're there. We've been working really hard to create remote learning opportunities for our researchers, things about how do you submit to the IRB, how to use our electronic system, also what are the requirements for IRB review, what documents do I submit, when do I need to apply, those kinds of things. So I'll show you where those are in a few minutes. And then we're going to have some changes to our signature requirements. And again, this is our Get the Word Out campaign to make sure everybody knows this is coming, so you're all prepared, you know about the resources we've put in place for that, and this transition is smooth. So in terms of resources, we've been working on IRB-Net demonstration videos. So this is functional. How do I use the system? It's someone walking you through the process, step-by-step, clicking through the system with you. So we're working on building a library of these. We have a really good start. I'm going to show you where to find them on our website shortly. We'll be adding to this as time goes on. We've been working on e-learning modules. These are fantastic if you're, say, onboarding a new staff person and you need to get them up to speed on how to submit to the IRB, what kind of studies require IRB approval, even some of the specifics of how you develop an informed consent document and things like that. Remote consent is another topic that we developed one on. So we've really focused on our most frequently asked questions and areas of top concern, especially during COVID, while research has transitioned to this entirely remote process for many studies. And then we've been working on some quick reference sheets. So especially targeting the areas where we're going to have changes going on, like our electronic signatures. We've been developing content that you can download and either give to someone who's going to be completing these signatures or keep on your own desk as a reference sheet for just to walk through those steps if it's something you don't do frequently. So I'm going to go to our website now just to show you where you can find these kinds of resources. All right, so I'm starting from the Office of Research website and going through the policies and compliance link to IRB administration and then for researchers. So it's just a quick shortcut to get where we need to go. If I go to the IRB submission section, I find information about our electronic system, which is IRB-Net. This is where we're really building our content to support the IRB-Net functionality. So things like, how do I share a project in the system? How do I apply electronic signatures? How do I complete the initial review application? All of that content is being added here. And you can jump to it from this location and you can find the resources that are available to you here, along with our step-by-step instructions available on the website itself. If you just want to send this link to someone that you're teaching them how to apply their signature, this is available to them. And then up here, we have the bank of all of our IRB-Net demonstration videos. So if you go to this page, you can scroll through the list. Right now we have 4 videos. We have how do you submit a new project, how do you share a project, how do you sign a package, and using tags to organize your work. If you're not familiar, if you are an IRB-Net user and you're not familiar with tags, it's an excellent resource to highlight things that you need to keep track of or flag items that need attention. So we've got these training videos available. We're working on additional ones like our post-approval submission and things like that. And then going back to the for researchers page where we were to start with and going to our training and education section. In the training library, we have created a series of self-guided modules. So here you can find when is IRB review required, what are the application requirements for a new project, how do I submit a post-approval submission, what are the requirements for an informed consent document, outside financial interest in research. All of these are e-learning modules. So you can do them at your own pace. The content is there. There's no testing requirement for them. So it's not a certification. It's really just information that you can access at any time for these kind of frequently asked questions and difficult concepts that we have. I'm going to go back now to the PowerPoint. So those are the new resources that we're working on. And sorry, I see a question. Is this replacing the use of the PDF page for signatures, or is it part of it? It is replacing the use of the signatures. So we will no longer be accepting any other form of signature, and I'll talk about that shortly. All signatures will be done in the IRB net system. So it's a great way for audit keep tracking. There's a reporting mechanism in the system that we can use to see who signed things. So the transition has been kind of a slow rollout because we've been using electronic signatures for our principal investigators and faculty advisors for a long time. This is going to make the requirement now also for department chairs, many of whom are already using the electronic signature process. And then faculty or PIs, when they're submitting post-approval submissions, will also need to use the electronic signatures. All right, so we're going to talk now about the changes coming to our applications. So the initial review application, if you submit to the IRB, you're familiar with this document. It's an online data entry tool that we use, and we've had it in place since 2015, and it's ready for a tune-up. So we've been collecting information, we're ready to improve what's there. We've also had some changes in policy that we're addressing. So I've got here just sort of a high-level overview of the kinds of changes you'll experience when this happens. Because of policy changes, both at the institutional level and regulatory changes, we have updated some of the older questions in our form are now outdated. So we've updated those to reflect and be more consistent with the current policies and practices. HRP 226, which is our administrative approval form, is being phased out. It will no longer be required. It is now incorporated into the document as a part of the electronic data entry. So you will no longer submit HRP 226. That document will no longer be a required element. Reliance studies are being we have incorporated a lot of the reliance details. So this is when our IRB either reviews for another institution or relies upon another institution. That has been incorporated into the application now, and it's made it a more seamless process for these studies. Anytime we were able to, we removed free text boxes and replaced them with checkbox responses. So this is meant to streamline the process and make the application a more routine process. When you, for example, aren't obtaining consent from research subjects and you want to explain to us why, we've provided a series of checkboxes of answers that would meet our requirements. So you don't have to spend your time sort of guessing what the IRB wants you to say. We're happy to just give you the acceptable responses and let you select from them. We've made some updates to our ancillary approvals page. A lot of this has to do just with oversight throughout the institution, making sure that everybody is aware of all of the requirements. So we will have an additional series of questions about different types of ancillary approval that might apply to your research, and then links to resources that will take you to the information about those kinds of approvals. And then we've added explanatory text and definitions throughout. So when the new initial review application rolls out, these are the kinds of changes that you'll be seeing. Now, how will this be implemented? First, in terms of the implementation of the actual document itself, it's going to be a seamless transition. So the application will update in the system. If you have an existing study with an initial review application, you don't need to do anything to it. When you have a new study and you go to add this document to your application or your package in IRBnet, the new application will automatically appear. If you have an active study with an old initial review application and you go to make an edit, so say it's continuing review and you need to update your research personnel list, when you click that pencil icon, there will be a few additional elements that you have to fill in because we have added some questions and moved some things around. But we made a very focused effort to reduce the changes as much as possible so that people wouldn't have to re-enter information or add redundant information or anything that they felt was extra work. So hopefully it will be a seamless transition for all of you. HRP 226, as I mentioned, it's no longer a required form. With that, though, we have removed sort of the signature blank that used to be used for this sort of PDF process of signing, or DocuSign, or whatever other process people had. So now we're using all IRB net signatures. For Reliance, as I mentioned, we're streamlining this process, so no more cover sheet if you have used that document before. For UC Davis relying PIs, there are going to be some additional questions because, as I mentioned, we're trying to improve compliance throughout the institutions. We're adding additional questions to make sure we get all the information for this study. And then for non-UC Davis PIs, they will be able to submit directly to our IRB for review using this application. And in terms of ancillary approvals, there have been some added questions, and we do have one new requirement document. If your study requires pathology oversight committee review, then we'll be looking for that as a part of your submission. All right, and now that's the initial review application. So I'm going to pause there and just check and see if there are any questions at this point. Okay, I don't see any in the chat, so I'm going to move on. Now we're going to talk about post-approval submission updates. So if you submit to the IRB, you're going to be familiar with these forms. This is very jargony. If you don't, we have the HRP 212, the 213, and the 214. All of these forms are being phased out. So we will no longer be accepting these forms effective June 1st. If you use our system IRBnet, you have probably seen the post-approval submission form. This is just like the initial review application. It's an online data entry tool. Effective June 1st, we'll be requiring this for all of our post-approval submissions. This form has online data entry. You're going to update it with each application the same way you use your initial review application. It also requires the IRBnet signature feature, no wet signature or DocuSign or anything like that. And then these sort of circling back, a lot of the resources that we've been working on are meant to support this transition. So we've got our initial review application guide is an e-learning module. That guide is a page-by-page screenshot of all of the pages of the initial review application, along with instructions about how you complete it. It currently looks like our current application, and we'll be updating it with the new application content when it rolls out, so that you can go there and learn about how we want you to answer each of the questions and what the pages are going to look like. Our post-approval submission e-learning module is also a page-by-page guide, along with functional how do I submit this in IRBnet. We have signature resources. We have a step-by-step guide online. We have a quick reference sheet. We have the IRBnet registered user report. So this is if you're trying to share the project with someone, they need to have access, or they need to have an IRBnet account, and we're posting a report of everyone who has an IRBnet account at the institution, so you can confirm that your user has an account if you need to. And that'll be updated every couple of weeks. And then we've created, as I mentioned, those demonstration videos. So how to submit a new project, how to share a project, how to sign a package, and how to use tags to organize your work. So I know that that was a lot. As I mentioned, this is a very high level, get the word out sort of training. We're doing much more functional training, either online or instructor-led training is available. If you go to our website, you can look at upcoming opportunities. And then we also have our help desk that we encourage everyone to reach out to. The phone number and email 916-703-9158 or hs-irbeducation@ucdavis.edu. You can always reach out here if you have any questions as you're working on your applications. And that's all I have. So I'll open up for questions if anyone has anything. Is there any information or resources we can share with our dean's office when working with them to get dean delegate signature? So is that for the administrative approval form, HRP 226? Yeah, so I'll go back to our website. And I'm going to navigate to those IRBnet resources that we talked about. And this section here, signatures accepted on an application. If you go down here, there is this video, which walks them through, it takes about 2 minutes, walks them step by step how to apply their signature. So I can send you this link. This is a quick, like, one sheet. How do you do this step process for assigning electronic signatures? And then there's a 4-page guide that kind of walks them a little bit more through the various pages of IRB Get. So I'm going to link this in the chat so that you can find it easily. Any more questions? You're welcome. All right, well, if no one has questions now, I'll go ahead and end. And if you think of anything, as I mentioned, reach out to our help desk or me directly, and we'll give you whatever support we can.